Hi everyone, welcome to week 6. So this week we have part 3 of the portfolio project due, which is a motion to compel for certain discovery documents. Just to recap, we started the portfolio project with the drafting of 20 questions that we asked Mrs. Henderson during the client interview, the initial client interview. And then after that, we had our midterm where we drafted a summons and a complaint, and that's what started the lawsuit. Those are the pleadings that we needed to begin the lawsuit. And then after that, we had part 2 of the portfolio project, which is where you drafted a predictive memo to the attorney that was objective, and it explained the cause of action and the relevant legal materials that we needed. And now we are on to part 3 of the portfolio project. And you should read the instructions carefully, but to give you a gist of it, where we are now, it's been several months since we started this whole process. We had the interview and the complaint was filed, and now we're in the discovery process. And we sent information to the defendants. When I say information, we sent a request to the defendants for certain documentation and certain answers to questions. And we gave them a certain time limit to respond, but they didn't. And unfortunately, that happens in real life a lot. The plaintiff will ask the defendant for certain discovery documents, and the defendants might just ignore it. And if that happens, then you have no choice but to go to the court and ask the court to compel that the defendants produce these certain documents. So that's what's happening in this case. So we need to draft a motion to compel discovery. And you are going to use your state-specific document again. Again, stick with the state that you chose, either New York, Wisconsin, or Virginia, and make sure that you read and understand the statutes that are provided, and you'll definitely need to reference them in your motion to compel. And then you'll also be drafting, so there's 3 parts. It's going to be a notice of the motion to compel, and that's just kind of where you state pursuant to whatever statute that you are asking for certain documents, and you're going to have like the caption with the client's names. And then after that, you're going to have something called an attorney's affidavit, and basically what that is, it's the attorneys are showing the court in good faith that they asked they asked the defendant's attorneys for these documents. So it's basically just a couple of paragraphs saying, on this date, we asked the defense for XYZ documents. We gave them this amount of time and they did not respond. And then you're going to have this signature block of the attorney to show that that's an affidavit that they did go the normal route of asking the other side for it, but they didn't get a response. So that's that. And then the third piece is the actual memo where you're explaining to the court why you need these documents. And that memo is pretty detailed, and you have to kind of assume that the court doesn't really know what's going on, and they just need to look at the standalone document and be able to know everything. Assume they don't have access to the complaint and all of that. That you have a busy judge who is just going to be looking at this one document. So you need to make sure that the judge understands exactly what's going on. So you would have your facts explaining everything. You would need to explain the cause of action, which in our case is negligence, and you're going to be going through those same, the same 4 elements of negligence, very similar to how you laid it out in the complaint, and then you would have laid it out again in the predictive memo. You're going to go through that all again, this time for the court. So it's always important to know your audience, right? So when we were drafting the predictive memo in week 5, your audience was the client and the attorney that you work for. Well, now your audience is a judge, so the tone might be slightly different, but you're going to be explaining the cause of action for negligence. And then after that, you're going to explain in your motion why you need the documents that you're requesting. So that's going to be, a few pages with all the meat of the case, the merits of the case. So I'm going to post on the announcements in the discussion board a couple of samples, not necessarily a template, but just some samples that you can look at to get an idea of what it should look like. Don't get too hung up on format. Basically, I just care about that the information is there, that it's logical, and that it's consistent. So as always, reach out to me with any questions, and I look forward to working with you this week. Thanks.